Healer. I'm back with another spiritual healer video. Today we are talking about daily in my life, of course. And what can I say? A day in my life can be jam-packed, okay? I'm always conscious of my time, my resources, and my energy, okay? But as a spiritual healer, there's just some things that I do to ground my energy, make sure that I'm spiritually focused, and some things I do before my reading. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're new here, share it with a friend. Okay, sharing is caring, and sharing is actually building up your spiritual bank. Okay, because everything is spiritual. That's the first thing. Okay, everything is spiritual. Even what you do on these social platforms are considered spiritual. Yes, when you spew out hate, you're spiritually aligning with negativity. You're spiritually aligning with hatred. Okay, so however that feels for you, baby. Okay. All right, but before I even get carried away, let's get straight into it. What does it mean to really have a spiritual practice, a spiritual routine? Well, for me, I would say consistency is a word that I hear immediately. Discipline. Routine is not a schedule. Okay, I want to first start off by saying that. A routine is not a schedule. Okay? What's the difference? A schedule is something that requires you to show up at a certain time every single day or on specific days. Okay, it's very rigid. A routine is something you can pick up whenever you are ready. But it's a cycle that you continue that puts you into the flow of where you want to go. Okay? And so when we are having a spiritual routine, we want something that we can consistently rely on to get us connected with divine and our creator, our God. Okay? The first thing I like to do to connect with God is establish a spiritual practice. Something I can go back to time and time again, okay? Are you following? Okay, so we want a routine, not a schedule. We want something that we can rely on consistently, but not something that makes us feel rigid, okay? Our routine, our spiritual practices are something that is unique to our relationship with God, okay? It is not anything that has to be duplicated or manipulated. Hi, baby. In none of those things, okay? We want to make sure we are connected to our routine. We want to make sure we are centered in our routine, that we're not choosing anyone else's routine to be religious, legalistic. You feel me? Okay? So, with that being said, let's talk about how I connect my own spiritual routine. You can take notes, you can add this to your spiritual routine, but this is me, a spiritual healer, sharing my tips and routines and how I get into flow every day. Okay? You don't have to take it, or you can etch it and edify your own routine. But the most important thing is that you create a discipline with your routine, okay? You need to be decisive as well. That's what I wanted to say. Discipline and decisive. You don't got time for all that. So first things first, I connect with God before anything else. I have this saying that I saw somewhere that before your feet hit the ground, connect with God. That's what I do, okay? That's what I do. Before my feet get out of that bed, hey God, good morning. Good morning, team. Okay? Hello. Thank you, Jesus. Praise God. The sun is up. Just a little. You the big man. Thanks for waking a girl up. Okay? Just a little of that to start the day. That's just the beginning. And then I get into my real spiritual routine. Okay? I like to read my word. So whether you choose to use the Bible app, whether you choose to use your Bible, or whether you choose not to read the Bible, but the Quran or the Torah, whatever it is, read your word. Okay? It's something magical about the Bible that truly grounds me. Hi, beautiful. Thank you. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed. I love all the new followers. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you. So I read my word. I watch a nice sermon, honey. I love to watch someone who's in their spiritual journey, who is a spiritual teacher or leader. Thank you. I'm a role model for God. I'm trying to get y'all to have a relationship with God. That's the most important thing, honey. Okay. I like to look at other moral exemplars when I start my day, because typically they're studying the word too. They're focused in their spiritual path, and it will align with me. So I like to watch a sermon from my preacher. Okay, I like to watch a positive message on YouTube. Okay, something that connects with whatever word. Like, for instance, I may look up verses on something I'm struggling with, like jealousy or greed, honey. I always want to go shopping. I always like something nice, okay? If you feel me, hard enough, okay? And so I might look up a verse on greed and then watch me a sermon on greed, and then now I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it, God. I see the message, okay? I see the message. And so then the message may be just watching for greedy demons, okay? For people, for opportunities that may require me to be a little bit more greedy, okay? And then I may listen to a gospel song, because I got me a nice gospel playlist that I love. I'll tag below. It's really fire. And then I like to round it out with prayer. I love prayer. I think prayer is magical, okay? If you don't get nothing out of this, prayer. And you don't have to Babylon. You don't have to keep da-da-da, Jesus, God, what's up with da-da-da-da. And you don't have to do all that. You just be like, Lord, I need you. Jesus wept is one of the most powerful things you can pray. Oh my goodness. Jesus wept, okay? To humanize Jesus, someone who was such a moral exemplar, and to put him in a position of weakness can help you connect so much with his archetype, honey. Okay? Okay? But most importantly, I like to carry the lesson in the day, because those themes will tend to come up and be reinforced. You see, reinforced through my conversations with people. And that's where God gets fun. Yes, that's where God gets so unique in how he communicates, or how she communicates with you. And symbolism, through signs, through music. Okay? But carry the lesson through the heart throughout the day. If greed is something that you're struggling with, be honest with God. Okay? If jealousy is something you're struggling with, if self-hatred, hello, is something you're struggling with, be honest with God, because God knows. And the quicker you get out of lying to God, the easier things can be. You see? Okay, the easier things can flow, you know? All right. So let's circle back to those who are paying attention. We wanted to talk about what is a spiritual practice and a spiritual routine. Okay? And a spiritual practice, once again, is something that you can consistently devote your time to, and most importantly, will build your relationship with spirit, with God, okay, with your creator, with your higher power, with your higher version of yourself. Yes. This relationship you have with the creator is the most important relationship you will ever have. It's the most important relationship you will ever have. Okay? And it's more important than the relationship you will have with yourself. I'm telling you, when you check in with God, God will check in everything around you. And if you're new here, make sure you are subscribed. All right? And this is what I do for fun and for free, honey. This is what I like to do. I like to deepen my relationship with God. And for some of you, that may not be fun in the beginning, because God will edify and get you to shift up what you desire, what your heart desires. And that may not be fun at first. But when you truly build intimacy with God, you don't want to go a day without Him. Yes. So, the types of ways that I connect with God throughout the day is, like I said, prayer. It's one of my most magical abilities. Yes, I was blessed with the gift of prayer and prophecy. And when I pray about things, things start to move. Angels start to smile. Honey, when I sing to God, when I sing about the love of God, angels smile and they gather around. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, sing to God. It lightens up His world. It lightens up the world, okay, when you sing to God. Join a praise team. Put on some praise music and start praising around your house. I'm telling you, it will lift any negative vibration that is around you or in your frequency, okay? Something you consistently do is a spiritual practice, and so you need to consistently practice it. I like to implement 1 day a week, but you can continuously do that. Like every morning I do that routine, my word, prayer, music, a sermon, okay? And I carry the message with me in my heart. And then every Wednesday I like to do praise and worship, honey. Pray and praise and worship. And it just really brings the elevation into my home. It brings the spirit right to my doorstep. Okay. It blesses my spirit. It rejuvenates me in the middle of the week when so many things are sent to attack your spirit, honey. Okay. Depression is on the rise. Depression is a spirit. And when you are in a sense of gratitude and praise, it just gets rid of that spirit. It gets rid of negativity. It gets rid of darkness. Yes. It welcomes in the light and clean energy into your home. I'm telling you. So be fixated on getting to know God as well. Okay? Get fixated on getting to know God, getting to understand God's behavior and how God shows up for you. One of the most important ways that I connect to God is through testimony. We're going to get more into that later. It's very, very, very important that you share your testimony and that you listen to others' testimonies. Okay? Like I said, prayer, the word, music, symbolism, okay? Birds are one of my favorite ways to connect with God. I always know a message is coming in. Communication is coming in. Oracle cards. I used to love using these things. I still do, but I don't need them as much to connect with God. But when I was going through my lowest moments, I was able truly to get the message clearly. Okay, same message, same thing. Okay, faith, fear, and what it helped me to understand is the more clear my faith got, the less I needed the cards, the less I needed the other tools. Okay, the less I needed to read. I just knew the word. Okay. Okay, the more I started to see it before it was here. Okay, come on now. Archangels. Archangel Michael is one of the angels I work with, and I love him. He's amazing. He's a protector. He's the leader of the army. And, you know, I'm a warrior for God. So you got to be in touch with the commander, honey. Okay, and so I love to communicate with archangels. Angels are always around to assist you. You just have to ask for their guidance, okay? You have a guardian angel. Some of you do. Not everybody has a guardian angel. That is a huge misconception. Not everybody has a guardian angel, okay? Some people have spirit teams, but you have to reach out for their assistance. They will not intercede, okay? You have ancestors that are on the other side. They can predict and see different outcomes that may arise in your life, but you must ask for their assistance. Okay? Everyone has free will. And that is highly, highly, highly respected in the spiritual realm. Okay? Your free will is gold, honey. And it creates your own karmic lessons and patterns. And your spirit team, your ancestors, God cannot get in the way of your decisions. You have free will. And you must make that decision to go and lean towards God. You must make that decision to build that intimacy with your angels and your guides, okay? And spirit animals. Okay. So getting to know God is very beautiful. Once you lean in towards God, God will lean in closer to you. Okay? And there's a lot of misconceptions around who God is. I want you to eliminate those misconceptions and start to focus on what God and how God has shown up in your life personally. I want you to write those things down. I want you to start recording your relationships with miracles and with God. That is how you start to build faith. Is to start to remember God's credit score, okay? Remember God's track record, okay? Okay, I remember God did this for me this one time. I know somebody personally who God helped. I may not know God personally, but I know someone who does. And their experience was so powerful. Leaning on those stories, those testimonies in times when you feel weak or in times where you feel you're struggling with your faith can transform your faith, okay? Will release fear and anxiety. I'm telling you, when you have something to lean on, when you have an experience to lean on from God, it's fantastic, okay? For instance, me in 2020, I was struggling with my health. I was struggling with depression and anxiety. I had went to the doctors, did all the things with the therapist, and I hadn't really taken the holistic route. I hadn't taken the spiritual route. And I remember talking to my elder who was in his 70s. Okay, and I think that matters. Because the older you get, the less you just are connected with the physical. You're more in alignment with your spiritual. So it was months before my grandfather passed. And I was talking to him about some of the things that I was struggling with. And he seemed to know more about connecting in a spiritual way with God. And he just told me, Jesus Christ is the best healer. And that just opened up my third eye. It's like, what? I had never consulted God in my healing journey. It was always professionals, doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, all the things, okay? But it wasn't until I decided to consult God that things started to change, not only for me, but for my family and for my spiritual walk. And in my consultation with God, okay, he reminded me of building, how important it was to build a spiritual routine, something that I could lean on to instantly connect me with him no matter what the circumstance. And that made me so stable. He helped me to see, it was the verse that he gave me on spiritual stability. It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. In a time when the world was shifting so much and no one knew what to lean on, whether that be their jobs, their health, or their sense of peace, their families, everything was being attacked in every capacity. And here God was telling me to be still and to know that my strength comes from him. And my whole mindset changed. Everything that I was doing in my day shifted from pleasing man and myself to pleasing God. If my strength comes from God, what do I care about my job? Shout out to my job. Okay, what do I care about the bills? What do I care about? If everything comes from him, I need to be connecting with the source so that I can have the strength to do everything else. And it started to click one by one. From every aspect of my life, God had to be a part of it in order for me to get strength. Whether that be my finances, I needed to connect with God on how to spend my money, how to organize my money. And he started to get me to see that although money was a physical thing that easily could be stored up, it could easily be burned down. He showed me the importance of legacy, though, and generational wealth, and wealth being beyond physical resources, but spiritual wealth. Okay? He showed me having a routine physically kept me in flow with my spirit, that I needed to ground my physical body so that it could hold the capacity of my spirit. So it was important that I fed my body good things, I exercised well, that I was paying attention to my energy levels and the energy I was surrounding myself with. Was I in godly energy? Was I in my godly flow? Was I in my highest vibration, honey? God was really checking me. He was checking my spiritual health. And it was in deep need of him. It was in deep need of healing. And I had went to doctors, gotten in all the spiritual shape, been in therapy for 7 years, all the good things, but my mind was so dirty. My mind was cluttered with negative thoughts and emotions about life, and I wasn't focused on good things. And the word will teach you to focus your mind on good things, okay? Focus your day on good things. If you are focused on being in God's flow consistently, it's really hard for negative vibration to hit you. And when they do, you can be reminded of the word so quickly, okay? And God's goodness, when you're focused on God's goodness all day long, good things come to you. I'm telling you, it puts you in a blessed energy and a higher frequency, okay? And so my whole mind shifted, my thoughts shifted, my vibration shifted, my practices shifted, my daily activities and focuses shifted and transformed. Now, it wasn't easy. I said it wasn't easy, okay? It was not easy at all. It was quite traumatizing. Okay, I lost a lot of friends. Okay, where's the people that lost some friends when God's taking you to a different place? Because you see, some of my friends at the time were benefiting from these low frequencies. They were benefiting from the jealousy, the greed, okay, because they were in that vibration. Okay, and when I was lifting myself up, or shall I say, God was lifting me up out of those practices, edifying me, they weren't attracted to my frequency no more. And that can happen. And that can be a sad moment, honey. Shed a tear. Okay, I had to shed a tear for the homies that couldn't come to me to the next level up. But that will happen when God is transforming you. Another thing that will happen is you'll start to wake up early. God likes to spend intimate, quiet time with you. God really loves you, I'm telling you. There's nobody, there's nothing in this world, there's no animal, there's no partner that will love you better than God will love you. And you will start to see that, especially after watching this video, honey. I'm telling you, God is calling you. And so through reshaping my identity, my routine, and my daily life and practices started to naturally shift. I started to become naturally disciplined. I started to notice the vibration and frequency shift when I was with God and spending time with God versus when I wasn't. The type of person I would become when I was spending time with God and when I wasn't. Okay, I was negative and I was anxious and I was fearful and I was constantly under demonic attack. Now, don't get me wrong, you definitely go through spiritual warfare in the presence of God, but you feel you have the tools. Okay, baby, you have the tools. You have the armor, you have the shield, you have the word, okay, you have your faith. It's sharpened because you've been spending time with God. So you know how God looks. You know how God shows up. You know what the enemy looks like and what God looks like. Okay? But when you haven't been spending that time, honey, you will start to feel the difference in your energy levels and the way you are able to respond to these attacks. So this is a spiritual walk. Okay? It's not a walk around the park. It's not a spiritual run. It's a spiritual walk. It's a journey, which means God is going to make your journey identical to you and not to me or anybody else that is in your life. So you can have moral exemplars like myself. Okay, I've had my moral exemplar. Shout out to Imani, the Hood Healer. Okay, shout out to a few of the spiritual healers on Instagram and the TikToks. Okay, y'all doing your thing. Okay, but every spiritual walk is identical to you and your relationship with spirit. Okay, you're walking the healer's path. Part of walking that healer's path is not knowing what's ahead, but walking in faith and commitment to God, knowing that God will not lead you astray, but is leading you like a sheep. And that comes with surrendering. A large part of this is surrendering. Okay, God, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where you're taking me, but I trust you. This is scary, but I trust you. This apartment I'm sitting in, God told me I was going to have, and I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I have to move out. My lease is up. What am I going to do? And God was like, don't worry, just one more apartment. And I was stressed, honey. I was stressed. But the Lord showed up and showed out in a major way, in a major, major, major way. And I'm so grateful, so grateful. And God continues to show up in major ways in my spiritual business, okay? Having all of you as followers has been a blessing. Having a community to teach has been a blessing. And just share my testimony. God promised me this platform years ago, okay? And I was like, I don't really want this platform. And God was like, no, you're supposed to be here. This is what you're supposed to do. There's people out there that you're going to inspire with your walk and with your testimony. And so if you're inspired by that, just make sure you share this with someone else to be inspired as well. A part of my spiritual journey came with being a spiritual teacher, a spiritual leader. And like I said, I was not expecting to do this. I was in marketing and genuinely was super excited about that, running my own business. And God stopped that during 2020 and was like, I want you to focus on just your spiritual practices every day. And I was like, God, how am I going to pay the bills? What's going to happen? He took care of all that. Ironically, that year, I made more money when I wasn't working. But through divine blessings, money that came randomly in different places, okay, that I did not expect. I made more that year than I did the previous year. Now looking back, okay, but going through it, I was stressed. I didn't have the faith to believe that God would give me the space, come on, to do what he wanted me to do. And in that, I ended up being asked from members and friends, okay, Sean, I see you doing your spiritual walk. I'm actually really inspired by that. I want to train with you, teach with you, just sit on a Bible study and you just teach us. I was like, what? You want me to do that? Here I am. I'm like in the midst of like just learning my spiritual practices, but I'm doing it. So I was so serious, y'all. You don't understand. Waking up every day at 4 a.m., spending time with God, learning my word, taking notes, doing yoga, exercising my body, listening to different music, making playlists that got my energy in the right frequency so that I could feel God. Prayer, God would speak to me in different symbolism. I was getting deep, deep prophetic dreams at that time. Not to mention COVID. Everything that was happening in the world. George Floyd was happening. There were so many things happening, and God was requiring me to tune out and to tune in. And through that, so many people were witnessing and watching my journey. And that is one of the most important things to, come here, come sit down. Sit down, puppy. Was that God wanted me to know that this isn't just for you. That your spiritual journey is not just for you. It's for other people that are witnessing your light so that your light can be contagious, you know? You are the light of the world. And so when you light yourself up with God's love, it spreads. It's contagious. It just does. Other people will see it and you cannot hide it. Even if you try to hide it, people will see it. And so I was over here just doing my little Bible studies at home. People would be FaceTiming me like, what are you doing? And I would be, spiritual cleaning. That's what I call it. I was on my spiritual routine. I was cleaning up the energy. There was so much negativity in the world going on. I made sure that I was always physically clean, okay? Because like I told you, it's important to be clean and connect the body and the spirit, okay? If you're doing the spiritual work, you have to ground it with the physical work, okay? So that's exercising. I was making sure I was taking showers, taking care of my skin. Oh, honey, taking care of my skin was one of the most important things, okay? Two, take notes, honey. Taking care of my skin, having a spiritual routine, because skincare is healthcare and healthcare is self-care. Having a healthy relationship with myself, but it all started with my relationship with God. Everything else just started to add on. So yeah, as I feel like I'm talking a lot. So much happened in that time, y'all. And I just look back at that journey and I'm very, very, very proud of who God has shaped me to be. And who God is calling you to be is going to be tremendous. Who you are right now is already tremendous. But where God is taking you after this video is amazing. It really is. You just have to keep seeking his face. So it started off with 2 people that I was mentoring, coaching, just sharing what I was learning, my spiritual nuggets, to 27 people. And it became a weekly Bible study that I would have twice a week, 2 different times a day, because so many people wanted to come, but they wanted to come at different times. And I never really campaigned about it other than just like posting it and sharing it to my social stories. But it showed me how important my role was, and God was taking me somewhere that I didn't know, where I hadn't been, and it required discipline. And here I am today. So for months I ran this Bible study, and it ended up leading me into one of the biggest jobs that I ever had. Slowly after that, I realized, okay, this is a calling. This is a calling, because people keep calling me about different situations to mentor them through. I would be sitting at parties, and my cousin would be like, oh, my cousin does, she does reading, she reads energy, blah, blah, blah. And it would be just like people sitting at a table like, oh, can you read my energy? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you heal me? And eventually I just was like, okay, God, you're calling me to the healer's path. And I had to take my ego out of it. Because I really don't like attention, honey. And this role requires a lot of attention and seeing through people and seeing where the pain is in others. And the healer archetype can be rough, honey. Okay, it requires a lot of discipline. And it's really important that you hire spiritual boundaries. It's really important that you have spiritual boundaries, that you take this serious, this calling serious, because God is very serious about putting you in this position. And that's what I've learned. Okay, and it may not be like on a platform. It could be you and your family, being a leader in your family because of your walk with God, and other people witnessing it. You may not even talk about it. Somebody may just watch you watching a sermon and they may have questions, or they may watch you pray over your food. Honey, it'd be the simplest things. Okay, but most importantly, it's about recognizing your life is sacred, and every moment of every day could be given to the most sacred being. And who better to know how to direct your day with God? Who better to know how to connect with your highest self but God? And in that relationship, in that intimacy that we have with God, we learn what our true legend is, what our true purpose is, what we came here to do. And I've learned through surrendering, through having an intimate, you okay? Yeah, because you need to slow down. Come here. No, you just gonna keep it. Good job. So I've learned through surrendering my day to God that He knows better than I know how to direct it. Things will get smoother. Opportunities will come that I never expected. Blessings will flow that I never thought, honey. But it's a part of this relationship with God where you have to be a child. You have to let that ego go and say, you know what? I don't know how to run my life. You know better than I do, God. And the more that I surrender this walk, this path to you, the more you are shaping me into the person you want me to be. The more you're preparing me for the spiritual leadership you're calling me into be. But it starts with surrender. It starts with getting to know God. And it starts with disciplining yourself. Because, baby, it only gets better. When you start to have that relationship with God, the relationship with yourself gets better. The relationship you have with your job, with your people around you, with your friends, with your loved ones, becomes more intentional, becomes more authentic. Because you don't gotta fake it with God. So then you start to realize, I don't gotta fake it with these people. If God be for me, who can be against me, honey? All right, and I'm gonna leave you with that word. And if you are interested in creating a spiritual routine and you want to jumpstart, go ahead and click the link in my bio. Sign up for the newsletter that I have and email me. Okay, we can always sit down and do some spiritual coaching. All of that is available on my website in packages as well. So if you're interested in doing a month to month, if you're interested in doing just one spiritual coaching session, baby, I got you. I got you. Okay, we'll take it slow. We'll figure out and build a routine that is special for you. Okay, and something that you don't feel overwhelmed by. Some people think they have to like overdo it. Like I said, just start having a relationship with God by talking to God. Okay, acknowledging God's presence in your life, acknowledging the blessings that have come to you already. Gratitude. All right, God bless you guys. Have a great day whenever you're watching this, and make sure you are subscribed, honey.